Welcome to ITE 1712 Web Design. This is the first lecture in the series. In this lecture, we will be looking into the fundamentals of the World Wide Web and its history. This is the color coding that we will be using in the slides. Please stop here for a minute and make sure you remember this color coding. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to recall the history of the World Wide Web as well as the fundamentals of it. I hope you are familiar with what you are seeing now. This is a web page which includes some text, graphics, and maybe some audio and video. Broadly, you can see two types of text, the clickable text and the unclickable text. By clicking on one of these clickable text, you can go to a web page that looks similar to the previous one or to a different looking page. When a set of similar or related web pages along with their assorted resources such as images are grouped together, we call it a website. So here you saw three web pages belonging to two websites. The web page is open in a web browser. Here I am using the Chrome browser. Some other popular browsers are Firefox, Edge, and Safari. A browser is the interface to the internet, which displays the web content. Now, these browsers are available in the form of smartphones so that the web can be accessed over a phone as well. When these documents are connected to each other through links as the ones you just saw, we get a graph, which looks like a spider web. Some documents are linked to documents in the same website or to documents belonging to different websites. This web or the graph is directed as shown by the arrows here, meaning that we can only traverse from the web page that contains the clickable text to the web page that it points to. So we call the web a directed graph. Not only documents. Other resources such as audio or video files or database can also be connected with the documents, creating a one big web. This large web is called the World Wide Web. Formerly, the World Wide Web, commonly known as WWW, can be defined as an information system that interconnects web resources such as documents over the internet. One important thing to remember here is that the World Wide Web is not the Internet. Internet is the global system of interconnected computer networks. World Wide Web is just one application that operates over the Internet. There are other applications such as email applications, file transferring, or instant messaging applications that operate over the Internet. Let's get a brief look at the basics of a web page. The first thing is hypertext. In order to understand what hypertext is, think of a printed dictionary. How is the content in a dictionary linked together? Put this in a different way. How can you find another word synonymous with a given word? Do you have to go through page by page until you reach this word? No. All you have to do is to traverse to the word mentioned here as the words are properly indexed according to the alphabetical order. The dictionary is one form of a hypertext system. Information is obtained by searching through an index. You can simply jump to this new page without having to go through the whole dictionary. The World Wide Web hypertext system is similar as we will see next. Clickable text in a web page has links, which are called hyperlinks. A hyperlink is created by adding an anchor to a URL. This clickable text is called hypertext or anchor text. If we refer to this example, this is the clickable text. When I bring my mouse pointer over the clickable text, you can see a URL at the bottom left corner. By the way, every web page and any other media file that can be accessed over the World Wide Web should have a URL, or the Unified Resource Locator. This is a unique identifier to distinguish web resources. It also contains information on how to access it. Here, the URL of this web page can be seen in this address bar of the web browser. More information on URLs will be covered in the coming weeks. Now, if I right-click here, I can view the source of this page. This is the code we have to write to get this web page to look like what we just saw in the web browser. It is written in a programming language called HTML, the Hypertext Markup Language, which you will learn in the next week. This is the URL. This A, you can see here, this is the anchor. The hyperlink is this part. It is created by adding this anchor A to the URL. The text that accompanies this hyperlink is the hypertext. This is what becomes the clickable text in the web page. Now, pause here for a minute and open some web page in the web browser. Right-click on the web page and click View Page Source. You will see some code that might look very complicated compared to what I just showed. Do not panic. In this course, as you go along, you will learn to write code similar to what you just showed. By the way, you can add a hyperlink even to a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation. This underlined text is associated with the hyperlink. That is why I could click on this word and go to the web page I just showed you. As I just mentioned, the links embedded in a document are known as hyperlinks. When selected, these hyperlinks allow for the portion of the web document linked to by the hyperlink to be displayed. In other words, if it is a long web page, we can get the hyperlink to point to a specific part of that same web page. This allows the reader to jump to another part of the same page. The link may also point to another page in the same website or another document in another website. By following a series of hyperlinks, the reader can follow their own path through the documents in the web. A series of successive jumps constructs a chain path through a series of documents. There is no limit as to the number of jumps, therefore the size of the chain is not constrained. But you can hit a dead end. Now pause here for a minute and see if you could answer this question. What is a dead end in the web? A web page is a dead end if it does not have any outgoing links. That is, it does not have any clickable text. The capabilities of hypertext systems have been extended to include any digitized media such as sound and images. This means that music and videos can be accessed via hyperlinks. Addition of multimedia to hypertext is known as hypermedia. A combination of text, graphics, video, or sound can now easily be interlinked to offer a very rich, often interactive environment. Now, a brief word on web search engines, which are now an inherent part of the web. Web search engines are very important because we cannot remember the URLs of the billions of web pages on the web. Moreover, we may not know the URL or the web resource that contains the information we are looking for. In that case, what comes to our help is the web search engines. The most common ones are Google and Bing. To find the information we want, we need to formulate a search query as shown here. The search engine processes this query and returns the documents that may contain the information you are looking for. You yourself have to click on these document links to determine whether they contain the information you want. We can search for videos, images, news, as well as research papers. Modern-day search engines such as Google now supports searching in languages other than English. Now pause here and try this out. Search for some content in your mother tongue. Here is another experiment. First try a search query in English. Then search for the same thing but using your mother tongue. I hope you know how to type in Sinhala or Tamil in the web. See if you could get the same results. You will see that you will get different results based on the language you use as the search query. By the way, can you guess the size of the web? The web is a huge distributed system that does not have any central control. So nobody knows the exact size of the web resources that are there in the web. All we know is that the web keeps on growing each day. However, the search engines give us an idea of the size of the web. For example, if you look at the number of search results Google identified for the previous query I just showed, we see that over a period of about 1.5 years, the web has collected at least more than 5 billion documents on the search query. So this suggests that the web may contain over trillions of documents. Currently, about 50 to 60% of the content of the web is English and the rest belongs to other languages in the world. Now, let's briefly look at the history of the web. Tim Berners-Lee, who is now Sir Tim Berners-Lee, a British scientist, started inventing the World Wide Web in 1989 while working at CERN, Switzerland. The web was originally conceived and developed to meet the demand for automated information sharing between scientists working for CERN. The world's first ever web page is still there. Search and see if you can find it. Soon, the internet world recognized the importance and the usefulness of this new invention, and many people across the world started to contribute to it. They got together under the leadership of Sir Tim Berners-Lee and established the World Wide Web Consortium, now known as W3C. The World Wide Web Consortium is an international community where member organizations, full-time staff, and the public work together to develop web standards. You will learn about these web standards in the coming weeks. Now here's a small interactive application that shows the history of the World Wide Web. In March 1989, Sir Tim Berners-Lee submitted his first proposal for what became the World Wide Web later. And in November 1990, together with another colleague at CERN, he submitted the formal management proposal for the World Wide Web project. And in the same month, the world's first browser and the editor website and server went live at CERN. And in March 1991, a very simple browser, which is known as the line mode browser, was made available at CERN. In August 1991, Sir Tim Berners-Lee announced the worldwide software over the internet, and it caught the attention of the internet crowd in a split second. In December 1991, first web browser outside Europe was established because the people were intrigued by this new invention and they all wanted to try this out. In January 1992, World Wide Web, which was a prototype until then, was moved to a production level system. By September 1992, all around the world, there was a small but still growing number of web servers and web browsers. As a result, in 1993 January, We saw the first graphical web browser, which is called the Mosaic browser. Until 1993 April, the World Wide Web was under CERN, but in this year, CERN put World Wide Web in the public domain so anyone can use it. In May 1994, the World Wide Web community got together and organized the first international conference on the World Wide Web. It was held at CERN. In October 1994, Tim Berners-Lee, along with others who were enthusiastic about the World Wide Web, founded the World Wide Web Consortium, which is known as W3C. By 1994 December, it was recorded that around the world there were more than 10,000 web servers. That means people were having web servers and hosting content over the World Wide Web. So now, at March 2019, the web celebrated 30 years, and it will be there for many more years to come. The progress of World Wide Web can be broken down into 3 generations. The first one is Web 1.0, which lasted roughly from the start of the World Wide Web until up to 2004. During this time, there weren't many web content developers, and the technology was not matured. As a result, the web pages were static, meaning that the user could only view the content in a passive manner. He could not submit content to the web page while going through the document. In contrast, in Web 2.0, which is known as the participatory web or the social web, the websites are dynamic. In other words, the users can add their content to websites. I am sure you have also added some form of content to a web page. If you have uploaded a photo to your Facebook profile, or when you go and comment on someone else's Facebook post, or when you add a review to a restaurant's website that you have just visited, you are essentially adding your content to web pages. Social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter are some applications that immensely benefited by this technology. Thus, needless to say, that Web 2.0 had a tremendous impact on the society of the whole world and in the lives of everyday people. The next generation is Web 3.0. Here we expect to develop websites and applications that can understand the content in the web pages. In essence, Web 3.0 will heavily rely on artificial intelligence, more specifically in technologies such as natural language processing and computer vision. Web 3.0 is not yet fully implemented. However, we see many positive developments. For example, when you add the photo to Facebook, faces in the photo are automatically identified. Some other developments are fake news detection to identify false news that is spreading in the web. Automatically identifying the customer opinion on different products and services, and identifying hate speech or abusive language are some other positive developments. Today, the web is the backbone for thousands of enterprises. Some billion-dollar enterprises are search engines such as Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and e-commerce sites such as Amazon, eBay, and Alibaba. Maybe the most famous are the social media such as Facebook and Twitter. As of 2021, there are 2.85 billion Facebook users, and Amazon ships approximately 1.6 million packages a day. These statistics alone are enough to show the ubiquitous use of the web. So the web we have today is a result of the efforts of many people and organizations. There have been developments on many fronts. Over the years, useful web protocols such as HTTP, different web server architectures, along with web servers such as Apache Tomcat, web browsers such as Chrome and Firefox, and web programming languages such as JavaScript and PHP were developed. Moreover, to protect the users of the web from malicious attacks, A lot of emphasis was placed in developing web security. Parallel to these developments, the smartphone industry also had a boom. Thus, currently the web is accessible over a smartphone as well. You will learn the fundamentals of all this in this course.